And we're live, Tim.
All right. Hey, Grant, how you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. How about yourself?
Oh, well, just doing some more housework, but generally just doing a lot better because of the store being open.
Yeah, that's been going good. A lot of people coming in, getting their puzzles.
Sorry, thing there. Yeah. So, no, it's been good actually going in there and getting stuff done and, just kind of feeling like it's breathing life again. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, I'm sure plenty of people are happy to come in, pick up something new to do. Everybody's kind of been stuck inside, just kind of stagnating. So just getting something new for the family, I'm sure people are appreciating that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, it's just, just kind of like a rebirth, a revigoration, and just waiting, again, just like everybody is. I know everybody feels the same way. Everybody is just, itching to get back to normal. But, at the end of the day, we just got to go slow. We got to go cautious. We got to go safe and make sure that, we do it right.
Oh, absolutely. So I see we have a couple people watching. Who's all out there? Anybody want to say hi? You said you were painting earlier today. What were you painting?
The kitchen. Getting some new counters put in. We're getting some new appliances and all that kind of stuff. Doing like just a minor kitchen reno, I guess you could call it. So, my friend Jay's back there again. Hello, Jay. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Lorraine, I see her here. And Richard. Hello, everybody. Your mom's here, too. So, yeah, it's good to have people join us again.
I know we were just talking about this, Tim. We were talking about that Scooby-Doo betrayal coming in. I know Richard was on the lookout for that one. So hopefully we do get it in kind of soon and we let people know about that one right away.
Yep, I saw Richard, last week? A few days ago, he came in, did the curbside pickup. Keith joined us too, I see. Hello, Keith. It's kind of weird that curbside pickup, right? It's it's just like hit and run little connections, seeing people and stuff,
It sounds like you've been chatting to people. I'm just like, I go out there, I hand you your game, like, hey, thanks, hi, bye, and like, done.
Oh no, I try to talk to people. It's good seeing people and things like that. It's just good to talk to different people and see the people who are at Meepleville and all that kind of stuff. So it's just nice. But it's just different, because it's you still have to, you're staying so far away, and it's just weird, but it's good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I see Paul joining us. I don't personally know anybody, but I think I would feel really bad for anybody that's been living somewhere alone during all this. Do you know anybody that's been by themselves with this isolation stuff?
Well, yes and no. I mean, like my mother-in-law and my grandmother both live alone. But like I have a couple of, my uncles go over, my uncle and aunts go visit her every now and then. And Wendy, she goes visits her mother, but yeah, they live alone. So,
gotcha.
it's kind of, yeah, but it's kind of like, I wouldn't say that different because they already lived alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I was talking more that younger generation that doesn't know how to live alone or isn't used to that, is used to such social gatherings. Like, I can only imagine somebody like that that's stuck inside by themselves, can't go do anything, how hard that has to be for some people.
Yeah, I know exactly. And like
Lorraine's apparently loving it.
Oh, is she? I thought she had a roommate though. I thought, maybe she doesn't anymore.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, but so my grandmother lives in Connecticut, like my friend Jay does. But Jay's up, and it's funny because where he lives, that area is where we grew up, and he's kind of sandwiched in between Boston and New York. So it's kind of like wherever he turns, he's got the thing, to be careful of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Flo's here too. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure a lot of those people are turning to Zoom. That's definitely the best alternative there to stay being social and talk to people. So that's good that caught on so quickly and people were so easily able to do that. No,
absolutely. Yep, I see Jeremiah joined us too. That's nice. And yep, you said Paul is watching. I'm sure Teresa's probably might be right there with him. So, but yeah, it's good to see Lorraine. I haven't talked to her in a while. She said they went to stay with their families and she's had the house to herself for 2 months.
Ooh.
So,
Keith, I did not hear that today, but I'm going to go look that up right now because that's also a hilarious theming. That sounds fantastic.
Oh, Small World of Warcraft? Oh,
yeah, so World of Warcraft, for anybody that is not familiar, is a very popular online video game since
Hmm.
back in like 2004 or 5. It's been around, so quite a while. Totally revolutionized the genre back then, and it's still going strong. So I can easily see that theming crossover there, because they've had some other Warcraft board games, like adventure games, that weren't really that good. But
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
attaching it to Small World again, this is the way to do it correctly. Like take a good existing gameplay mechanic, so you're not just buying into an IP with a random gameplay.
Yes.
Attach that IP that makes sense to that mechanics that we know already work and people understand and like. That's going to do so much better.
Oh, I agree 100%. Yep, I agree 100%. I see Rick joined us too. Hello, Rick. He's there. He stopped in last week and picked up an Archie puzzle from the old Archie comics. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, yeah, puzzles have been exploding. People have been getting into puzzles.
Let
So
me. Well, let's throw on to what's going on. Let's transition over there, and we'll talk about some puzzles some more.
oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So with you mentioning the store being open and going pretty well, one of the big new additions, like we always had puzzles previously, but that's just been so much more in demand. So we kind of stocked up on that. So what's kind of the future of puzzles looking like for Meepleville, Tim?
Well, the future of puzzles is we're gonna go heavy and we're gonna go deep on puzzles. We're gonna always have a huge selection. I just talked to the people at Masterpiece Puzzles, and they've got some really cool ones. They got some big panorama ones that are 3 feet wide and 13 inches tall. They've also got ones that like are shaped like a horse. You know what I mean? So not your typical square
Yeah,
puzzle.
yeah, I've seen a couple of those too.
Yeah, so those are cool. They've got nice IPs like Wizard of Oz and um, Betty Boop and other things. So yeah, just with different companies, all have different flavors, different looks. So and plus, a lot of the new additions were coming in. We're gonna talk about those later once we start more moving towards opening. We're gonna have a lot different kind of demographic, a lot more people in there. So we're gonna have puzzles, which I think will appeal to a greater audience, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because kind of where I'm at with puzzles that I really enjoy, we have one hanging up in my room or in the house here currently that my roommate did, just like a very nice like fantasy one, and I really like that idea. And so like there's a ton of people that will hang up like pictures or posters, but being able to put that puzzle together that you're gonna then use as like a wall decoration, like so you're really buying into that piece, that image that you're putting together. And we haven't talked about this until just now, but if we do stay going into there, I think carrying those type of supplies, like the spray matting that you can like finish the puzzle and do something more with, might be another thing we can start carrying for people that want to take that a step further as well.
Oh, we will.
Just like a
Because
handful, it's not a ton of stuff, but or just knowing how to order it for people when they request like a certain frame size and that type of stuff.
yes, no, absolutely, absolutely. Patty joined us too. Hello, Patty. Yeah, because the thing about it is, since we will have a big variety. I mean, right now we're staying heavy with mostly the 1,000 piece because that seems to be the sweet spot with a lot of people. But we will be carrying a couple of 2,000 and 1,500s also, and then we'll sprinkle in the 750 and 500s there because like some people like smaller, quicker, easier puzzles too.
Especially if families are buying for younger kids and stuff like that. It's you kind of want to start them on the slightly easier side.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I see
So
Chris joined us. Hello, Chris.
speaking of the 2000s, we had gotten in a single 2,000 piece puzzle, and I
Yeah.
immediately sold it to my mother. So I'm going to throw up some pictures here. You'll have to check over on the stream, Tim, to actually see
Oh,
these.
okay.
But I'm throwing up, this is my parents' dining room table, currently covered with a 2,000 piece puzzle that they've been working on. So yeah, that's my parents are staying busy, doing something good. I know they're watching right now. Hopefully they're a little
Wow.
bit further in than this, but
Uh-huh.
because yeah, that 2,000 is going to take up so much space. Like I'm worried it's not going to fit on the table once they get it going. Like I don't know what the outside frame of that dimension wise actually is.
Oh, you know what? I should have. Oh man, I should have sent you that link to the video. Or did we watch it on the show or something? Anyway, I saw a video not too long ago. This guy did. It was a massive, like I don't know, like a 100,000 piece puzzle or something. It
Ooh,
was huge, like
that's crazy.
yeah, like 30 feet wide and 10 feet or whatever. But what he did, it was kind of really cool. Is the first thing they did is they sorted pieces in like colors. It seemed like, or I
That
don't
makes
know
sense.
what his
Yeah.
organization was, but yeah, they just made a bunch of huge piles and like built little pieces. And I've never seen a puzzle like that. So since it was so big, and I believe it was a skyline, if I remember, they would like build a building here and then a piece here, then a piece way up there. So they just did like pieces all over the place and kind of, you know what I mean, and come together.
Makes
Instead
sense.
of when I used to build puzzles, you just kind of like, you know, grow toward the middle, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm always one of the guys. People generally know what the edge pieces are your little flat edge. So you'll go and build the frame. Like that's usually where I start any given puzzle is go build the frame, and then like you were saying, I guess color wise that it makes sense. So you know where your different colors are, and you can start kind of throwing them in space. But yeah, with a puzzle that large, it definitely makes sense to basically do prep time before you start even trying to figure out where stuff goes. Just sorting the area that they're going to be in.
Yes, yes. And you know what else we should do? Because you remember I had talked about it before. I think we need to start having a lot more contests with puzzles too. I think it would be nice to just buy like, a dozen puzzles or whatever and have a dozen teams come in all with the same puzzle. And then you just hit the clock and then, have a contest so you can build the puzzle the fastest, right? Like teams of 2 or 3 or something like that.
Sure,
That'd be kind of fun.
yeah, I'm sure some people would enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anthony's just talking about an impossible puzzle that's just like black and white pieces with no edge pieces and extra pieces thrown in the box. That sounds just mean, but
It does.
I'm sure there's people that do enjoy like they're like puzzle. No, I want a challenge.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Richard's asking if we're going to have retro stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Richard. I'm looking around as again like what have I've done? There's a couple of puzzle companies like Seco and Masterpieces and White Mountain and USAopoly, and, because they have quite a few IPs, so we should be getting those in tomorrow. So yeah, we'll definitely be getting retro cartoons and whatever they have available. We'll make sure we have a big variety, because I mean I don't know. Does anybody know? Is there kind of like a puzzle place here in Vegas? I mean I don't know if there is.
Definitely not something I ever looked into to know.
Right.
And again, I don't think anybody was worried about this, but just to make sure that we do reiterate it, it's not like we're dropping board game space for these puzzles. We just kind of move stuff around since we have extra shelves to play with kind of thing. We're still going to be going just as hard on the board game side of stuff. It's not like we're going to limit our board game retail. We are just adding in a pretty big puzzle collection to go along with it.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we'll definitely keep up the latest, greatest board games coming out to you. So yeah, we're definitely never going to lose that at all. So
Still talking about that. Anybody that has come in and used our curbside service so far in the past couple of weeks since we've been open, just a huge thank you to you guys. Like just the amount of support that we have gotten with you guys coming in. It's great to see everybody. So we can't thank you guys enough for doing what you can while we're all going through all this type of stuff.
absolutely, absolutely. And to be honest, there's a couple of games we've been pushing, and we're going to be talking about those today, like the Isle of Cats and the Crew. And it's not simply because we want to sell games, of course, because we could use income and all that kind of stuff. But these are, I think both Grant and I agree, these are just 2 games you should have.
Yeah.
The Crew and Isle of Cats they're phenomenal. So if you have the chance to pick those up, I would say get them.
And anybody that does personally know me or my taste, for me to say like, oh yeah, that's a good game, they're like, what? Grant likes a game? I don't believe you. So
Yeah.
I don't mindlessly throw away like, yeah, you should buy that game. Like no, like if I'm telling you it's a good game that you're gonna enjoy, more than likely you will.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, but going along with the curbside pickup we're doing. So last what was it? May he went a week early, right? Selected the governor and went into phase 1.
Yeah, you started on the 8th, maybe? I don't remember.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right. Because I think it was originally supposed to be the 15th. So anyway, folks, just so you know that even though we are in phase 1, we are still just doing curbside pickup, because one of the things that we have to do is to make sure that we have all our sanitary procedures in place. So it's been really tough coming across, the wipes, the sprays, the hand sanitizer. We are building, a collection to get it every time. I tell Grant if he goes to Sam's or Costco, and I same thing, pick it up and let's have it. So we just need to make sure we have all this stuff in place, and then we're just taking our time, going slow, and we're going to slowly get into these phases as they go along.
Yep, and we'll stay following the governor's directive, the county. We had somebody from like the business license that stopped by the other day. Just
That's
make sure
right, yeah.
businesses are up doing good. So it's good to see Clark County putting that support behind making sure businesses are able to be open, doing the right things if they are open and all that. So
Yeah, and also everybody just be aware because we do get several calls and emails and messages, people asking me when we're going to open. Since Meepleville is a little bit different, I mean, we do have the retail, right? We do have the food, but we have also the play space. So you could just come into retail stores because that's what they're doing now, letting people in, with restrictions and procedures. We do have food where the restaurants are opening to come and eat, stuff like that, and then we have our play space. So we're trying to figure out the safest way to make all this happen. And to be perfectly honest with you, we're probably not going to be in the conversation maybe towards later in phase 2 or even early phase 3 when they start opening up like theaters and bowling alleys and stuff like that where people are specifically going to socialize and do quote unquote like entertainment activities. But since we are a restaurant, we could do that right now, right? We could open up, serve food, but we're not really you know what I mean? We serve food. So we're just trying to, believe me, Grant and I talked about it for about 2 hours the other day. We're writing out procedures. We're making sure we're on the same page, just trying to do the safest thing. But trust us, like no one wants to get Meepleville open quicker than we do. So we want it open faster than anybody, but we're going to make sure that we do it in the safest possible manner.
Absolutely. So we've been going good there. Do you mind if I talk about that Dice Tower stuff really quick, Tim?
Sure, go right ahead.
So for anybody that doesn't know, obviously there's been a lot of conventions that have had to cancel, or a bunch of conventions are still kind of up in the air over the summer, sporting events, things like that people don't really know. So we put on with the Dice Tower West here in Vegas. That was, a really good thing. We kind of got in right before the whole lockdown thing happened by a couple of weeks, and I don't think we had any big cases come from that or anything, so that was really good. But Dice Tower East happens in Florida it's normally June, July, somewhere in that time frame, right, Tim?
July 4th weekend, yep.
And so Tom Bassel, the guy behind Dice Tower, went ahead and finally just officially announced the cancellation of Dice Tower East for this year. So if you want more information on that, go check out the Dice Tower main page, go watch their YouTube videos. He has a video up that he's talking about it. Obviously, that's a really hard call for them to make. Conventions don't just get put together a week ahead of time type of thing. Like you're working on that all year long. So it's definitely a hard call to go through and say, like, got to cut it this year. So I think it's the right call on his part. Don't keep people's hopes up. Don't leave it up in the air. Just, if you don't know, canceling is definitely erring on the side of caution, which is good to see from them. So just hoping to put the word out there if you know anybody that was planning on making that trip. And again, if you watch the video, he talks about the different options. People are either going to get their money turned into tickets for next year with the hotel stuff. They potentially can put it towards future conventions, either the cruise, the retreat, Dice Tower West next year, potentially. And then he is still even going as far as to give people refunds if necessary. But obviously, he would like to see people keep that money invested in their future plans. And again, with the type of people that do invest in those type of conventions, I think a good number of people will go that route. Barring, obviously, there's some people that are just going to be in really hard situations that do need that money back kind of thing.
Of course, yeah. Again, it's one of those kind of things where it's unfortunate, but everybody is suffering somehow during this time. So, but like everybody says, the sun will come up tomorrow, right? Yep. And there is light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm still expecting to lose some of the other big conventions. I know we've lost like E3 is the electronic one. Origins for sure went to an online format. Gen Con hasn't really said anything yet. Is that right?
Well, Origins actually rescheduled to October.
Oh, they just fully rescheduled now. I thought there was one that switched to like an online format that was going to come up pretty soon.
Could be, absolutely. I'm sure there was that have done that.
But yeah, it's still just a little too early. So hopefully this does get better sooner than later. But yeah, the really immediate ones, it's just better to wait until we really have this locked in with how the country is going to approach keeping this under control, making sure it doesn't get any worse kind of thing.
Yeah, no kidding.
So fingers crossed that Dice Tower West next year is still plenty ways off, and that we can make something big and fun happen in a correct way in that type of time frame. But
right, Jacob is wondering. He says, "I hope it's this year." Yes, trust me, we'll be open this year. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure things will get back to normal. You know, the big things, I've been watching news. I know you have Grant staying up with stuff, and I'm sure, most everybody has, trying to be aware a little bit. A lot of it just has to do with the testing. Once
Yeah.
we can get like up to, what did somebody say, like
Half a million.
three
What was the?
3 million a day or something, or 30 million a day, or
That's
whatever
on
it
the
is.
like the bare minimum. Like the low end was 500,000, and we weren't even
Okay.
at that. But yeah, that I mean that's the lowest projected needed. More than that, being up in the 1, 2, 3 million would be much better by some other projections. So
Correct. Yeah. And we just need to get that out, especially the antibody, find out whether, people can get sick again and all that kind of stuff. And those are what needs to get going.
yeah,
And once all that gets in place and things, people can know a little bit more about the virus, then yeah, we'll move along. But no, I fully believe by the end of the year, we're going to start moving towards more normalcy.
yeah,
So
yeah. The end of the year is still quite a ways off. I know,
it
like
is.
I just read an article about how like the hospitals here in like Clark County were prepared for like a massive overflow that never came, and that's because we followed protocol. Like I think Nevadans did really well. We got one of the better ratings for the safety things of like minimizing going out and all that. That Siskiyou did the right thing, put us under the lockdown, and yeah, our cases are pretty low because we are doing these things. Like people that tout like, oh, the numbers are so low, it's not that bad. It's like, no, they're so low because we're doing what we need to not make it worse, kind of thing. So
Right, and the truth of the matter is I believe these numbers are somewhere right correct, but I think Clark County, where Las Vegas is 73% of the population of the state of Nevada, somewhere like
yeah,
that.
probably,
So
yeah.
so 3/4 of the state live here, and by the casinos alone closing down, that encompasses with the tentacles, that go out, the food service, transportation, blah, 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 all that stuff. So just by them closing, that's close, makes people have to stay inside because that's such
Yeah,
a
there's
big industry here in the valley. And,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, it's again, things could definitely be worse. Hopefully, we're doing what we can to make things better.
Yes, yep, yes, we are. And same thing in New York. If you watch there too, they opened up the Javits Center. They put all those beds in there. They had the thing in Central Park, and they never had to use them to come full to capacity because,
That's
again,
good.
New Yorkers buckled down and did what they were supposed to do. So
Yeah,
that's what I hope people are seeing, that when we do the proper things, it works.
absolutely.
Yeah, and you know what? Here, I just want to tell everybody, I heard a really good quote the other day by one of those talking heads. I don't know whether they were a politician or a scientist or a whatever they were, but the phrase she used I really, really like. She said, current restrictive pleasure for future greater gain. And I strongly believe in that. That's how we're approaching it at Meepleville. Current restrictive pleasure for future greater gain. And that's what the plan will be.
Absolutely. All right, we had kind of talked about some other board games earlier. You want to start taking a deeper look at those?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's move on over there. 1 second. All right, so up first, Tim, is Isle of Cats.
Isle of Cats. All right. First, I just want to say hi to Chris E. joined us. Sam joined us too. I know Sam works at the convention center, so I don't
does
know
he
what the
really?
heck he's been doing. Yeah.
I did not know that.
So I haven't been to any conventions. I know that. So I wonder what he's been doing. But yes, Isle of Cats. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Isle of Cats, it is a polyomino game. A polyomino game is one of those like a Tetris-y where you're trying to get pieces to fit in. Patchwork, Baron Park, Feast of Odin has a component in there of the polyomino thing. And that's my phone. Sorry, let me go ahead and click that. And it also has a drafting mechanism, and it is really good.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised by this one. It really wasn't on my radar. One of our members, had picked up like the Kickstarter and had brought it in and was playing it, and I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't really. I kind of stopped paying attention to Kickstarters for a while there, honestly. But yeah, so we knew we were going to have this one at Dice Tower West. So this was one of the few games that I kind of like dug into and prepped to have people be able to show off and teach at our tables there. And every single person that ended up playing this game, looking into it, just loves to play it. I don't know what it is. The perfect little combination of it's fairly easy, a fun theme. The polyominoes, like you mentioned, people just love playing with those different little pieces. Just click so well with so many people.
Yes, it does. And I see Randy and Joe both joined us. Hi, guys. Great to see you here. Thanks for joining us here. Joe says he loves it. He has it. It just is. It covers so many
Joe
sweet
has.
spots. Yeah, Joe has everything. It does. Joe, you have a problem. But we all do. Like me, looking all
He shows up, just gets called out immediately.
I know. And Joe's one of those kind of guys. The bigger the box, the more he wants it, right? He likes big box stuff. He always gets those big ones. And I'm talking when I'm looking at shrink wrap games over here. But yeah, it just touches so many sweet spots. The Isle of Cats does with the game. It's just really, and it's one of those kind of games. Grant, you might agree with me, right? Because the game plays over 5 rounds, and you have different phases each round. And it's one of those games, kind of like Wingspan. I would say the same thing, where after the first complete round, people are like, you know what?
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah, exactly. It clicks pretty quickly. Some games, like, you really got to get a full game or two in before you're like, what am I doing here? Like, some games it just doesn't click depending on that level. But again, this one, again, is pretty straightforward. That, yeah, there's stuff you got to think about and figure out here and what you're doing. And we'll talk about some of the negatives here in some of those phases. But for the most part, that once you do get it, you're like, okay, cool. Now I know what I'm doing. Now I have a plan. Let's make this plan happen, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and then how good you are at that is another thing entirely.
Absolutely. And then, folks, the kind of really kind of cute main phase of the game where you're rescuing cats and putting them on the boat is you need to have, first of all, a basket to put the cat in, and then you have to have enough fish to feed it. So it's kind of like a cute theme with the cats in a way, because you have to have the basket, the food to get them on your boat. So it's just nice. It fits us well. My wife loves it. She's a cat person. We're a cat. We have a cat. So it's just good. It's really, really good. And you know what, folks? You just need to get this game. It's going to be, I believe, as popular as Wingspan has been the past couple years for that game, which is the, would you say, midweight game, Grant? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that little bit of a step up. I think Quaxaqualenberg was another one that hit in that same point. That it's on the easier side, but it has that little bit of extra stuff there to really let actual gamers enjoy that little bit more. It's not necessarily a gateway game. It's like a slight step above, but not much. Like I said, like Patchwork's a pretty straightforward gateway. Put Tetris pieces on a little quilt here. But this turns that into an actual game kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. So for the hardcore Euro gamers like me, you know, the draw Euros, love it. For people who are Yahtzee, Clue, Monopoly, they'll love it. It's good for everybody.
And I know it also has a family version that takes it down even a notch from where it's at. Have you played with that at all or looked into that, Tim?
I have not, no.
Basically, the other side of the board, if you flip these boards over, the phases that you can see listed here on the picture, there's less phases. I don't remember what it actually changed. It took me a second when I was first learning the game to be like, why does this board look weird? But yeah, there actually is an easier version of this game that has like a family thing. When you set up the cats on the island, there's no fish cost to manage. So it makes the game a little bit simpler. So it's nice that that's included in the game, that if you don't want this slightly bigger, harder game, that there is an even simpler game in there to play if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with the cards, I really love the mix of the cards. How especially like the anytime cards have a lot of kind of game breakers in them, right? Because normally when you place your first piece down, from that point forward, you're supposed to make sure that it's orthogonally touching a side of another existing piece. But there are anytime cards that you may get where it says, hey, place a piece anywhere. You know, so it's just kind of cool to get these weird, funky cards that break rules in the game and stuff right in the middle. You're like, boom, I'm going to play that card and do this thing. So it just adds that little fun mechanic as well.
I remember the first game that I played, we didn't really like look through the cards before we started playing. We just kind of jumped right into it. And you mentioned how you have to have baskets to catch these cats. And there's some anytime cards that will get you extra baskets. And I drafted some in like the first round, and then I just went hard on them. I probably went too hard. I don't think I won the game because I had like 4 or 5 permanent baskets at the end. But as soon as those started to come out, like the other players were just like, oh, I don't want him to have those.
Yeah. And Chris Yee said he hasn't tried Isle of Cats yet. I'm surprised you and Wendy haven't tried. I think we're definitely going to have one at the store. We need to let you guys borrow it so you can go ahead and do a podcast about it. Talk about it on your show, because You're gonna love it. It's even like I was gonna put up a Rado video today too, because you should like I put up Tom's the other day what he thought about it. And then I looked at Rado's video because many people who come to Dice Tower West, we have both Tom from the Dice Tower and Rado from Rado Runs Through at the event, and Rado just lost his mind over it. He loves it. So two really top respected reviewers think it's going to be the biggest game this year. Love it. I agree.
I think it's not, like Rado generally sets his stuff up for two players, so I know he appreciates the stuff that plays really well at two, and I think that does fall under that category. It's not super take that. There's not a ton of like player blocking. There's a little bit like you can take a cat before somebody else kind of thing. So it has that right mix of a little bit of player interaction that even with the lower player counts, it's still fun to play. Some games that have really high player interaction and you try to play at the lower player counts, you're just like, what are we doing here?
Right. Yes, and he talked about Rado did about how Jen's thoughts and his mother-in-law thoughts. But I'll put up his video tomorrow. I was going to put up today, but you should watch. He goes, folks, I just want you to be aware that because he did it as a Kickstarter preview that I'm paid. I forgot his name, West, I think, or David West, or whatever his name is. He goes, he gave me the game, he paid me to review this. So I just want you to know that. So take whatever I say, with a grain of salt, because I am getting paid to do this review. Then he's like, but I love this game. He like flips out, and he really means it. It's great.
Okay, and so now a counterpoint to what we've been saying. You mentioned this a little bit to me yesterday. What are some of the negatives we have seen with this game so far, just to let people see the other side of it? What are some issues you've had with it so far?
Okay, one of the issues, and again, this is for me personally, and I know, Grant, you agree, because we talked about this, and this is like, Grant and I both have this one little pet peeve about gaming and little things that happen in games. And in Isle of Cats, after you're done drafting, you decide which cards you want to keep in order to play. However, you have to pay for the cards. And up in the upper left, there's a cost for how much you have to pay. So the pet peeve that we both kind of have, and folks, it's not like we don't trust anybody thinking it'll be whatever, but you just have to pay your cost for your cards. So nobody else knows if you're paying the correct amount, if you made a mistake, or whatever. It's up to you to pay the cost. And again, I'm not thinking that people are cheating, but people make mistakes. And I don't like when information isn't available to everybody at that point.
Yeah. This is the big one for me. That type of mechanic drives me crazy personally. It's just like a big rule guy. Like that's what my job is there at Meepleville. I teach games. I play by the rules. I teach them correctly. I want to see the rules followed. And so when I'm not sure if somebody is playing correctly, that little thought in the back of my mind, again, not ever because of cheaters, just because I've seen so many people play. I have personally messed up so many games myself. It's just so easy to slip. These type of games, they have so many rules. They have anybody that's a Euro kind of board gamer, when you're jumping from one game to the next, rules just get crossed and mixed over. Like, oh yeah, sorry, it's that other game that you do this. It's just really easy to miss. And so normally when you're playing these bigger games with a handful of people, somebody will catch it and be like, oh, it doesn't do that. And you're like, okay, cool. And it's a quick, simple little thing. But yeah, that one thing in this one where there's nobody to fact check what you're doing outside of just hoping they're doing it right. And again, that's a pretty minor complaint for everything else being pretty fun in this game. So
you're right, but like you said, because you gave me an example of sometimes, like if you're playing a game and somebody just annihilates you, and there is this little thing within the game where there's some kind of hidden thing in the back of your mind, like, did you really play the game correctly? You know what I mean? And again, unfortunately, with this game, there is going to be that a little bit, right? Because you're going to be like, wow, I remember in Phase 3 when they laid down 17 cards and they only paid 3 money for it. Like, so you know what I mean? Like, but you know what? That did happen to me the other day. I laid down 7 cards or something, but 4 of them were zeros because they do have some of the cards with zeros.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's just a minor thing, but it's just a fantastic game.
What I tell people, for anybody that hasn't played it, there's a lot of similarities here between this and Bunny Kingdoms from Yellow. A lot of people love Bunny Kingdoms, and I know that. There was just I had a lot of issues with Bunny Kingdoms for things that didn't quite click with me. Namely, there's scoring after every round. That's very time consuming. And the end game scoring cards, if you focus too heavily on them, you basically don't have to play the main game and you can still get a lot of points. Isle of Cats has the same type of card drafting. Obviously, this one is the polyomino placement versus just the square grid, but there's no end round scoring. It's all done at the end. There are end of round cards or end of game cards that you can draft that will get you points, but you can't solely do those in this one. So I think that it just balances out a lot of things from Bunny Kingdoms in a better way. Again,
Yes.
it's not necessarily going to replace it because they are still different games. Again, not knocking people that super like Bunny Kingdoms. For me personally, I would prefer to play this one over Bunny Kingdoms just for those reasons that I talked about.
Right. But also, folks, just so you know, another reason to really, really like this game, because there is that little secrecy in this game. There is a phase where you have to reveal lessons. So there are certain cards that are blue. If the lessons are public, you announce what they are. Hey, folks, everybody, who lays a red cat gets a point. You put it out there. You take a little red cat, put it on. Now everybody can score that. But sometimes you have private lessons and you hide those. So and then you have to. The rules even say you must splay them so people can see how many you have. And it has been a little nerve-wracking when I've been playing with my wife, and I'm like, holy crap, she's got a lot of lessons over there. What is she working on?
Yeah, those are those end game scorings. I know I got wrecked by one or two of them. Somebody that just lucked into drafting the right ones, because not enough people, to use the term, hate draft. If you see somebody focusing on a thing, you don't want to pass them a good card. So even if a card's not great for you, it's probably the better strategy to deny that going to somebody else. And a lot of beginners, people new to this game, won't play that way. And so, yeah, some people will just get handed these golden ticket cards that are just crazy good for them. They're like, why, thank you.
Yeah.
My one, that is another complaint that you just reminded me of. The public lessons, they still have a fish cost on them, do they not? I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
And that's annoying to me. Because I will never draft a public lesson. Because everybody scores those points, so why am I going to give up fish? Again, the thought would be that, well, the public lesson is going to benefit me more, so it would be worth that fish cost. But I would just rather continue to pass that card in a draft, let somebody else pay for it, than me ever do it. So, again, maybe that's not the right strategy on my part, but I think there might have been a better balancing issue with either lower cost or no cost or something else with those.
No, I agree. I agree maybe in the
I haven't
first
played it enough to not.
Right. In the first one or two rounds, yeah, you're taking a gamble because it could help other people. But if you get a nice one in maybe the fourth or fifth round
That's
that
fair.
fully complements what you've been doing,
Yeah.
and you're like, wow, if I play that's going to give me 15 points because I already have it. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Very true. So yeah, definitely still the luck of the draw there, and that's just like any of the other games that you like, Quacks Quedlinburg, like we talked about, Wingspan with that big deck of cards. That little bit of randomness does help to go a long way. It's not super random like some of these other crazy games, but just having that little bit of randomness of what you get over the course of the game is going to be different every time you play.
Right. So, yeah, folks, we have plenty of copies, and it's one of those kind of things we really believe you should get one. You're going to enjoy it. It's got the Meepleville seal of approval. We should get a hammer like Tom or whatever. We got boom right or something. I don't know.
We could get some Meepleville stickers because we had Kathleen go around and kind of write up some of those signs and had staff picks on it. We should absolutely just have some Meepleville recommend stickers that we can throw on the spine of board games. So if somebody's just browsing in the retail, if you see one of those stickers, that's a good game to grab off the shelf and check out.
There you go.
Or come ask us to show you how to play it.
There you go. Good idea. Absolutely.
All right, so what are we talking about next? Oh, I'm still looking at pictures of the cats. I don't know what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Next up is another one that we've talked about here for a while, and that is The Crew. I've been loving The Crew since this game came out. So anybody that doesn't know what The Crew is, this is a trick-taking card game similar to your Hearts, Spades, Pinochle, Bridge, all of those trick-taking games that are out there. There's a ton. The Crew has come along, and one of the big differences with The Crew compared to these other ones is that it's a fully cooperative trick-taking game. So you are completely working together to take the tricks, and the way the game works is there's 50 different levels of difficulty or 50 different missions that you go on. And so mission 1 starts off very easy. It's like one person has to take a certain card, for example. So there's 4 colors, 1 through 9, and then there's some trump cards, which are rockets. So like this yellow 5 here, It might be player 2 needs to take the yellow 5, and as soon as he does that, the round's over, you successfully did your mission. That's like stage 1. When you get up to stage 25, now you have like 7 different missions. They're split up amongst all the people at the table. Certain tricks have to happen in certain order, and if you don't do it all completely correctly, you fail. And it basically turns it into, you have to learn trick-taking strategies, have to learn how to, and there's no talking. There's very limited. You have a little communication token that you can use to let the other players know what's in your hand, but it's very, very limited, the information that you can give out there. So you really have to learn how to communicate with your card, communicate with your actions, what you have in your hand, what you're capable of doing, and how everybody needs to simultaneously figure out this puzzle in their head without discussing it. And that's just been such a good experience to get through.
It sure has. Just real quick, I just want to say hi to my friend Eos, I saw, who just joined us. Eos is joining us all the way from Australia. He was going to be my roommate at the Gathering this year, which never happened. The board game convention that got canceled. Eos, it's so great to see you. Thanks for coming in and joining the show. But he's a wonderful guy, and I believe he's from Brisbane down in Australia. They're what, a day ahead or behind us or something like it? It's like Thursday there already, right? I think.
Oh, I've been down there. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say hi to Eos. But yes, folks, the crew is, again, it's $15. The price point is really, really low. And it's, I believe, probably right now, Grant, you might agree with me with this statement. If you're going to say games like Catan, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, those kind of base games, like, gamers in this kind of world should have in their collection or should have played, I would probably already throw the crew into that it's going to become one of those sort of staples that you should have tried or played.
Yeah, as far as gateway games going, I kind of mentioned this to you. I think the crew is a great introduction to teaching people how to play a trick-taking game. Because normally when you jump into like hearts or spades, you understand the mechanics of, I play a card, somebody plays a higher card, they win the trick. But knowing when to use a trump card, when that's going to take the trick that people don't expect, or knowing how to count cards, all the different like strategies that go into a trick-taking game. For somebody that's never played one, some of those strategies can be kind of hard to learn outside of just playing a bunch of whatever type of game you're trying to do. And I think the crew is really good at slowly introducing those mechanics and the idea behind the strategy and how to make those strategies happen as you go along. Like, for example, pretty early on, it's in either the teens or the 20s, you come across a mission where somebody has to win a trick with the lowest card of the suit. You have to win a trick with one of the colored ones, and you're like, well, the one can't take any of those things. You're like, yeah, you'll have to learn, like, you either get rid of all the other colors of that thing to make the one good, or win it with a trump, have somebody throw it onto your trick, and all the type of things that I'm talking about here. If you know what a trick-taking game is, they'll make sense to you. And this game will help you learn what those things are. And I think it's really just fantastic for that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It just really is.
We've been playing it with 3 pretty well. I played it for about 2 hours with 4 at Dice Tower West. That was my first big, get to check it out. I think I enjoyed both 3 and 4. You had briefly showed me the 2-player version of this, which does work slightly differently. And then, as you mentioned, might be actually a little bit harder than some of these other ones.
I truly believe it is. And the reason, folks, if you haven't played the crew with the 2-player version, is it makes an NPC, for lack of a better term, right? You have to put out a hand of cards for another virtual player, but half the cards are face down and half are face up. So if you have a mission that has cards, you don't know where that card is, because when you're playing with at least 3 people, it's perfect information. Everybody knows that all the cards are visible, right? But in 2 players, there are 7 cards that are face down at the beginning of the game. So if there's a mission out on the board, you're not sure whether it can be completed, because you don't even know if somebody has it, if they're looking at it. You're not looking at it. It could be face down. And then you have to turn those cards up one at a time when you're able to. So potentially, like, I actually played a game once when I with Steven, the 2-player. We lost because the first thing we needed to do ended up being the very last card we turned up, and we were done. So
Yep. And yeah, Paul mentions that he would be stuck playing it too, and he's just gonna wait. Again, I think it's nice that the option is there. That 2-player is something that you can do if you only have 2 people, and it plays kind of differently. But that the 3 and 4 player is a slightly different experience, and one that just different people are going to enjoy for different reasons.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Because I love them both. Because to be honest with you, I actually was taught with 2 players and played it quite a few times, only 2 players before I played with more. So I enjoy either.
Gotcha. So we're still a couple minutes here before 6. Anybody that saw our post, we're going to have a special guest join us tonight here in 10 to 15 minutes. And we are going to be playing Rolling Realms, which is a kind of a new game by Jamie Stegmaier, who did Scythe and a bunch of other games. Basically, during this pandemic, that he has gone on and just made a quick roll and write. He's on version 10 of this game. Let me throw this link into chat really quick. For anybody that would like to play along with us for a quick roll and write game, if you go to this website or on Facebook, we have a tiny URL link. And on here, there's a thing that says past and present versions are found in this folder. So this is all the different versions of the game that he has out right now. And this very first one, called 9 Worlds version 1 PDF. If anybody grabs this PDF really quick and prints it out in about 15-20 minutes or so, somewhere in that time frame, it's going to be like a 10-15 minute long roll and write tops. It's a very quick game. There's only 9 rounds. But we are going to jump into that, so just giving people a little bit of a heads up if anybody would like to join us. Otherwise, it's just going to be something fun to do with Ruel that's going to be joining us. So I thought I'd throw that out there.
Yes, and here's something real quick. I want to go back, and I don't know if you realize this. I saw this today, fishing around the internet, just playing around for a little bit, looking at stuff. If you say the game we were talking about with the animals, real quick, do you know what it's also saying?
What? I'm not following what you were going with him.
What's the first game we talked about today?
Isle of Cats.
So say it. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, and then you'll be like, wow, this blows my mind. I love cats. Love, right? I love cats.
I hate puns. I hate them. I hate them so much. It's the lowest form of comedy. I can't stand them. Now that I know that, I actually like the game less.
There you go.
That makes me so sad.
Actually, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
I didn't need to know that. All right. To redeem that game, the thing that I loved about it is when you take the lid of the game off, on the inside of the lid, there's a giant target that says, "This is where your cat should sit while watching the game." I think we talked about that on stream before, but that was another thing I did really like. Yeah, the Isle of Cats. I agree, Chris. It will always be known as the Isle of Cats.
Well, anyway, so Flo liked it. Thank you, Flo. She liked it. So there.
One other quick thing that I came across to show off. For anybody that's familiar with what Humble Bundles are, normally they are a video game thing where you can buy a bundle of games and you can say where the money goes, either towards charity, the game makers, etc. And they are currently working with Asmodee Digital. So there's a games bundle up from Asmodee Digital that you can get into. It's up for the next 7 days. And the way this works, you pay however much money you want to pay. As long as you pay more than $1, you get 6 digital games from Asmodee, which will include Small World that we kind of mentioned earlier, Carcassonne, Patchwork, Potion Explosion, Love Letter, and Kings and Assassin. Again, digital version of these games, something to play at home, or some of these will be online that you can play with other friends. I personally owned Small World 2. I've played that, just couch co-op with some people, just because it's easier to set up than to play in the actual game. But then if you continue on, if you pay more than the average, and it shows that the average is $10.25 right now, then you get all of these games, a digital Twilight Struggle, Splendor with a bunch of expansions, Mysterium, which people love, some other expansions to Carcassonne and Small World. Or there's the full, you pay anything more than $12, so $12 would be your minimum point to get everything, but that includes everything previously, plus a digital copy of Scythe, even more expansions, a Lord of the Ring card game, all sorts of stuff. So I had just come across this recently. Anybody that's looking for some digital board games to play, these aren't like Tabletopia or Board Game Arena where they're just kind of like goofy little UI things. These are full video game versions of these board games. These are very well produced. They look fantastic. Yeah, some of these are very, very good games. Like I said, I've definitely played both the Scythe and the Small World one already.
Yeah, that's a great deal too.
Oh yeah, 100%. So
yeah, that's.
I was looking through my Steam collection. Steam is where I normally buy a lot of my video games from. And I have like 120 unplayed games, and that's just because I would come across these bundles and I would buy it for the one game and get 10 extra games with it that I never ended up playing. So yeah, not saying that you'll play a bunch of this. And again, this all supports charity. This is for Partners in Health. When you say that you pay that $12, you can say that you want 95% of that to go towards this charity. So this isn't going to some company. This isn't necessarily even going to Asmodee. You get to pick where you want your money to go when you spend it on things like this. So just a really good thing. I've used these guys for a number of years.
That's fantastic. That's
really,
really
out
good.
There.
Yeah, I want to say hi to Amanda, who joined us. I'm not quite sure who Amanda Panda is, but...
Too many Amandas. Yeah, that's...
I know, we have a lot of Amandas. But, yeah, and just so you know, folks, also with Asmodee, right, this is a fantastic thing they're doing, and they are giving to charity. And people do know, it's kind of the, I guess, inside thing with gamers, we know that Asmodee was kind of, the big conglomerate coming in and taking over, because what they were doing was snatching all of the greater games from some of the companies and consolidating and buying companies too. So they are also becoming their own distributor as well. And now they're doing this, so it's good to see that the sort of quote-unquote corporate juggernaut, in the gaming industry that people think big, bad, evil, taking over everything, is doing such a wonderful thing like this to give away to charity. So it's a great thing that they're doing.
Just to show people really quick, somebody had mentioned that Small World Warcraft. I have a picture of that up really fast. That just looks amazing. Very, very well done. Whoever came up with that idea nailed it. You'll see that picture here in a second, Tim.
Yep, Small World of Warcraft.
That's gonna do really well. You want to give Ruel a quick introduction? He had texted me. He'll be on here in just a little bit. We might have a little bit of words. I need to get him set up once he joins. So you guys will get to watch it together as I struggle through even trying to talk, let alone add people.
There you go. So Ruel, who will be joining us, Ruel Gaviola. I first met Ruel probably 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe not, a year and a half or so, a year after we opened Meepleville. And he came in to write an article on me. And he wrote the article for Geek and Sundry, which is still active. They were much more active, or much more viewed or popular, I should say, when Will Wheaton was doing the tabletop show. And he was an occasional guest on the show, I believe, with Will Wheaton doing that. And he has been a regular on the show with the young lady, I don't know her name.
Becca Scott.
Becca Scott, who does it now. He's a writer by profession. He is very active in the board gaming community. He is one of our supervisors. Joe knows him because Joe is as well for Dice Tower West. Wonderful guy. He actually came with his wife this year to the convention. And so, yeah, he'll be joining us to play this game, and we can ask him some questions. See if he knows the lowdown what happened with Will Wheaton.
And I did just throw a link up to the article that Tim mentioned. Like I said, it is still up on Geek and Sundry. So anybody wants a nice read about Tim here in Meepleville, there's a bunch of nice pictures up. Yeah, feel free to go check out this article.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that article in a long time.
Yep.
It was funny because the one I liked the best was the Desert Wind, I think it's called. Yes. A magazine here in Vegas. You know, one of those like weekly magazines? They wrote an article and they called me chairman of the boards. I thought that was...
I tried to add... There's Ruel. Hi, Ruel. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Grant. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine. You're not going to have video of me on Skype, Ruel, just giving you a heads up, but you should be able to hear me just fine through there.
Perfect.
And
Are we gonna see him? Where is he?
he'll be up on the stream here in a little bit. You guys chat, and I'm going to do some stuff over here.
Great.
Oh, to get him going.
Hi, Tim.
Hello, Ruel. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I saw you had a busy day today. You were doing quite a bit of stuff.
I did. So with Renegade Game Studios, my wife and I streamed a game of, gosh, what did we play today? It's been such a long day. We played a game of Lanterns and gave out some prizes through Renegade, which was great. They do a worldwide play day every Wednesday at noon Pacific, and just a way for people from around the world to play games together. And if you join in chat or the stream, then you get entered into the prize raffle. So they gave away Lanterns dice. And then at 5 o'clock today, just an hour ago, my family and we have been doing Live at 5 every weekday since we went under the stay-at-home order here in California. And we just play a different game every day. So today we played Rhino Hero, which was a blast. I always love playing Rhino. Yeah, great game from Haba, family friendly, and it's basically building a house of cards. I'm sure you know all about it.
Yeah, we have the giant edition of that we have to literally, you have to start on the floor when you play the giant version, and we've had that one get crazy heights before.
Nice. Was that at Dice Tower West this year? Did you guys have a copy of
the giant version? Maybe not.
Okay.
But yeah, that's super. Have you ever played the Super Rhino Hero, the one that has like 3 different buildings attached to it or something?
Yeah, the Battle Edition. Or
I don't know that one. I actually haven't seen. I think I saw that at Meeplecon 2 or 3 years ago. Some people had it up. I didn't know what it was back then.
Yeah, that one's a lot of fun. It's, instead of just the one building, you have a couple of buildings and you can connect them through, little scaffolding and stuff. And then you have more characters. Oh, it's a big giant mess and I love it. It's so much fun.
It really is. Yeah. So Ruel, real quick. So a lot of people, now that you see Ruel, you might recognize him from Dice Tower West or, at Meepleville or whatever. And he is part of the Meepleville community and Dice Tower West community, as I said. So Ruel, do us a little favor and tell us about you, about like maybe where you grew up, where you went to school, what do you do for a living? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, will do. First, I just want to let you know that I am wearing my Dice Tower West shirt. I just wanted to represent.
Hey.
Me too. Moved wrong side. Me too.
Yeah, my wife and I had the best time this year, and we were thinking about how now that things have changed, we're sort of bummed, as we all are, but we're so looking forward to everything getting back to normal and coming back out to hang out with everyone at Dice Tower West.
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know, thank you for watching. And first I want to say that my name is Ruel Gaviola, and I am a content creator here based in Southern California. I'm a writer by profession. I went to school for it. I grew up here in Southern California, born and raised, and I went to school at UC Santa Barbara as an English major. I graduated there many moons ago, I'll say that. And I got into publication department at a local aerospace company. So I was brought up as a technical writer. I was writing manuals and policies and procedures and real dry tech stuff. And that was just, what I did. And I eventually made it to a couple of small startups in the area. And then I bounced around a little bit. And eventually, more boring jobs and everything. Eventually, I ended up writing about board games. I discovered board games exactly 5 years ago, modern board games, through Tim had mentioned earlier, Will Wheaton on Tabletop. I was one of those people, like many, who are on YouTube late at night one day, and I clicked on a video. I said, hey, that's Will Wheaton from Star Trek, and started watching. I think the first one I watched, it was either Ticket to Ride or Pandemic, and I was like, whoa. I had, I sort of had an idea of modern board games, but I was like, okay, this looks cool, this looks new, and it's different. And I ordered, the first game I ordered from online was Pandemic, and I was hooked. Pandemic's the one, and it's sort of ironic that it's Pandemic, right? That's the game that hooked me. And then, but my wife wasn't really into it, so about a month later, I ordered Ticket to Ride, and that was it. We played Ticket to Ride for like a week straight, sometimes twice a night, and just loved it so much. And from that, I was like, okay, I was doing my thing, and eventually my two worlds collided. The writing that I was doing and the board gaming, I got an opportunity to write for a small website called I Slay the Dragon. We do board game reviews, but I was in charge of the board game news game column. So we would review games, but I'd also report industry news, and that just gave me the confidence to learn about the industry. I gained confidence in my writing for board games because I was used to writing about tech writing stuff, software, hardware, different type of worlds. So there is no such thing as flavor text in the technical writing world, but there is plenty of flavor text in board game, which is fun. And I eventually got an opportunity to write for Geek and Sundry, just a friend of a friend, and I sent my work in. They liked it enough that they gave me a couple assignments, and I started writing for them. One thing led to another, and which led me to Tim. Like you said, about 2.5, 3 years ago, Tim, we were writing a article about Meepleville, and of course, my wife and I just happened to be in town. We stopped in, said hello, and got to meet you, and we fell in love with the cafe. It was instant love. I mean, walking through the giant meeple on the wall. I mean, that's that seals it. I'm sure I'm not the only one. My wife isn't. That sealed it right there. And Tim, appreciate you helping me out write the article, and it was a really well received article. I still, right? People still, talk to me about it, and I was, hey, Meepleville's going strong. I love to see it, and hey, and by the way, yes, I am still a semi-regular on Game the Game with Becca Scott. Of course, the studio shut down right now, but hopefully we'll get back in there. But until then, we are live at 5 here on Facebook Live with my family.
Yeah, jealous of that. You guys got so many well ahead of time playthroughs of some game what was that, Black Rose? I can't think of the name of that game. They had that a year ahead of time or something.
Oh yeah. I wasn't on that one, but yes.
No, but just the fact that they have access, they're just so well known, so big, just like the sit down, shut up guys, getting some of the stuff well ahead of time. It's really fun to get to be a part of that side of it.
It is.
So Ruel, real quick, I was just wondering if and if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, but do you happen to know what the situation was, why Geek and Sundry and Will Wheaton sort of parted ways?
Yeah, if I knew it, I would tell you. I don't. By the time I started working for Geek and Sundry, Will had already left. And actually, by that time, I believe Felicia Day, who had started everything, she had already sold off Geek and Sundry. So it's owned by someone else right now. And as far as Will, I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, I remember just when between the tabletop seasons that he had a couple of just on-set production issues, stuff like that. So again, super appreciate what he did for the hobby as a whole. He crushed that amazingly. Those are some of the best videos. You mentioned his Ticket to Ride one. I love that because that's the one where his wife ruins the game. She slams the table and all the train pieces just go boop. And you're like, oh. And if anybody does that at Meepleville, you're done. But luckily, again, they had it all on camera, so they reset it back up, and it was just a big cut. Yeah. So it's hilarious. But yeah, she felt so bad. I was like, that's just a great board gaming moment.
It's funny you mentioned that's the one thing that I always remember about that episode. I don't know who won the game or whatever, but I remember that.
Yeah, it's just boop.
Yeah. So that was really cool. It was for me, it was such a trip to go from. I was watching Will Wheaton on YouTube, and then a couple of years later, I'm in studio with Becca Scott and her guests, and it was very surreal for me, and it was really cool to see behind the scenes things that go behind these shows. It's amazing. It's amazing production, and it's a lot harder than it looks. And I just have such a newfound respect. Well, not newfound, but I have such immense respect for Becca, Geek and Sundry, all the whole crew there. They do such a wonderful job to make those games, look so cool and so much fun.
The production behind that, anybody can throw up something like this and put some stuff on a screen, but really putting production and thought and time behind all that stuff, that's where that really shines.
Yeah.
We had somebody in our Facebook chat ask that Pandemic was your first choice. Do you have a favorite version of Pandemic at this point?
Version at this point, Legacy. Definitely Legacy. I love the story of Legacy, and it was funny. It took me and my family and I started the game. 4 of us. It was me, my wife, our daughter, and her boyfriend. And then my wife, she was really not in a Pandemic. She gave it a shot, but after a couple of games, it was a no-go. So it was just me, our daughter, and her boyfriend. We played the first 6 games within a couple of weeks, and then we just forgot about it for the next 2 years. So we finally got around and finished it just this year at the start of the year. So. But yeah, that one I love just because of the story and some of the things that happened in that game.
We didn't really talk about it, but they have their new version. I don't know when it's dropping. The Hot Zone North America.
That's right.
Which, because Ticket to Ride and what was the other game that did it? That basically it's a really pared down version. It has a lot of the same mechanics, but they're super quick, faster versions of the game. So the Pandemic Hot Zone is just set in North America. a little bit quicker, faster gameplay, trying to hook some of those people that don't want that level of board gaming experience. So we'll see how well that does.
I think again, it's unfortunate the timing right now, but like I love Ticket to Ride. I think it's New York, the small one. That one's it's 15 minutes, exactly the same game, just shrunk down. And I think Pandemic Hot Zone will do the same thing as long as people don't mind the subject matter.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, Ruel, what kind of gamer do you consider yourself?
Definitely an Omni gamer, Tim. I like it all. If I had my favorite game of all time is Twilight Imperium. And so that's one side of it. On the other side, the other spectrum, I am totally serious when I say this. Another favorite game of mine is Happy Salmon. I can go from one extreme to the other.
Those are extremes.
Right? I can be totally silly for a minute, or I can be totally serious for 8 hours. But I like a little bit of everything from that, Rhino Hero that we played today. I like, some heavy Euros like Brass Birmingham is a favorite. Terraforming Mars I really enjoy. I love stuff like Clank, Blood Rage, So yeah, just, again, I think it's just all about the experience. As long as I have a good time and it's, the game is well constructed and the theme is there, like I'm into it. And as long as people are cool, we're having a good time. It can be 1 minute, it could be 1 hour, it could be 1 day. It's all good to me.
There you go. That's the kind of gamer that I like right there.
Yeah.
But
I sort of go with the flow. I go with the flow.
But do you play a lot of games? Because we do have a couple of groups at Meepleville, and we'll have more in the future. But do you play some of the classics? And what I mean by that are like chess, cribbage, backgammon. Do you play games like those as well?
Yes, and backgammon's probably my favorite of the old school, like classic games. That one, on a whim, I picked it up about, 10 years ago, and this is when before I got into, I was doing game night. Like my game night was poker night, so I'd get together with my buddies or family, drink some beers, and play, No Limit Hold'em in the garage until 2 a.m. or whatever it was. And while we were playing poker, there's a lot of times when you just sit out of hands, and I was like, well, if I'm going to sit out of hand, I might as well learn how to play backgammon, right? Because that's another thing we can, put a buck on, right? So backgammon, that's how I got into that. And I see that you and Grant are cribbage masters.
Absolutely.
I just learned cribbage I think late last year or earlier it was late last year. I downloaded the cribbage app and I instantly fell in love with that game. It's amazing.
Yeah. It is. I used to play that all the time when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, my friend Jay, who joins us at the show, who was here at the beginning from Connecticut, I believe he might have been the one that either teach me or I just know we used to play a lot when we were kids. But I've been playing cribbage my whole life,
Right. And that's, Tim, you're from the East Coast, right?
Connecticut, yep.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like it's more of an East Coast thing because I don't know. Again, I'm born and raised in California, so I didn't really run across cribbage players. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's like East Coast, West Coast.
I believe it is. From growing up back there, what the lore is, who knows if it's true, is the board, there were whalers. And what they did is the reason the board has little pegs because they would do it on the side of the ship or on the floor with wood, make the holes to keep the score. So it's like an old whalers, or so who knows if that's true.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Not too many games that have like that type of like lore possibility behind it. That's really cool.
Yeah. When games are like hundreds or thousands of years old, I love the history behind it. Like backgammon, I mean that's thousands of years old.
It is absolutely.
Cause I'm from the Midwest, and I remember like maybe being up in Minnesota, I saw some people playing cribbage, but it was never where I was at. I didn't get into cribbage until much later. It was maybe 10 years ago or something. Not something I did growing up by any means.
Did you have a family that played it, Grant? Or
nope, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we played Pinochle. That was always the family game.
See, I feel like Pinochle is like a Midwest thing too.
Yeah,
I know
that
friends of mine from Illinois. Yeah, that's the game of choice.
I wish I had played cribbage at a younger age. I think again that's something hadn't me and my family played that younger, we would have enjoyed and played a lot more of it. For whatever reason, we just didn't.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I would have picked up backgammon and cribbage, decades ago. But hey, at least I love it. It's not cult of the new; it's cult of the old. I'll play those games anytime.
That's right. So, Ruel, since you've only been playing games for about 5 years now, you said, or not in this kind of world, right? The other side of gaming. What maybe 1 or 2 games have you still not been able to play that you're just dying that you want to play in this type of Euro gaming world?
It's a good question. Well, one right off the top of my head, because I always hear it's the faster version of Twilight Imperium, is Eclipse. I've never played Eclipse.
I don't even know if it's faster either.
Really?
Eclipse was a weird one in that I heard about it because, yeah, same thing. I played Twilight 3rd edition and Eclipse looked good, but then I heard there was a newer edition of Eclipse coming out, so I put off playing Eclipse for such a long time, and I think that newer version is out, and it was supposed to streamline, fix a bunch of stuff, and then it really didn't. I don't think I heard great things about the newer version either. So yeah, I've never ended up going back and playing either version at this point. I think I would probably rather just invest the time and play. I haven't had a chance to play Twilight Imperium 4th edition yet, so I'd probably rather do that than Eclipse still. But
yeah, we'll play Twilight Imperium instead. There's one more that I really want to play is Agricola. I've never played Agricola.
Don't do it.
All right, kick him off the show, Grant. Get him out.
There goes all my
You're right.
board gaming cred right out the
Well,
window.
you heard it. We get to kick Tim off the show because he's an Agricola lover. It'll be just me and you.
Yes. No,
He said
no,
so.
well,
We can do it.
Agricola is one of my favorite. I love Agricola to death.
Yes.
I will teach you. Next Dice Tower West, let's make it a date. Next year, Dice Tower West, we'll play Agricola.
Sign me up, sir. Definitely.
I'd love to show you. So now that you're here, one of the things we are going to talk about are some of the games where we think need a sequel. Did you want to do that first, Grant, or do you want to play the game first?
I want to play the game first.
Want to play the game first? Let's do it.
Right.
All right. Do we have the link up? Do people have their sheets?
Yeah, no idea how many people in chat want to play along. If anybody is watching and wants to play along, as you can see up on the screen currently, this 9 Worlds version 1 PDF, the text might be too small, so hopefully you have it up yourself, but we only need to pick 3 of these worlds to play. If anybody in chat has any recommendations, or Tim Ruel, if you guys have ones you want to try out, we just need to pick 3, and then it's just 9 simple dice rolls from there to see what we can do with this.
I will pick Tapestry for 1.
Tapestry. Okay. I will pick Between Two Cities.
Okay.
So we got Tapestry, Between Two Cities. I don't see anybody in chat. Let's those are fun. Let's add Scythe to the mix on there.
All right. So,
So in the first
Between Two
game,
Cities.
Scythe and Tapestry. So let me read over these rules really quick, just to make sure we're playing all 3 of these. So we selected our 3 worlds. On each of the 9 turns, I'm going to close this PDF really quick. As you can see, I have this nice little table set up with some dice here, and these are my dice. So I'm going to roll, and the stream will be able to see exactly what I'm rolling. I'll put the dice over here. So no electronics involved here. Can't blame me for rolls. But we're going to roll 2d6 each round. You're going to use 1 die in one of the 3 worlds and the other die in the other world, unless otherwise specified, and we'll go over the 3 worlds really quick. You're going to get pumpkins, you're going to get hearts, and you're going to get coins. Those 3 things, as you get them, you will track at the bottom of your sheet, and you can use them, you can pay 2 at a time to do slightly different things. And the other things you're doing in these 3 worlds are collecting stars. And stars is basically how you win. So whatever you can do to get stars, that's the main goal here. So looking at, we'll go down to Tim's Tapestry first. Tapestry says, fill in a matching shape. Dots are off limits. And if you complete a big square, you gain a heart. So we can see that the different numbered dice are different amounts of squares that you can fill in. And I'm assuming these can be rotated. You're going to score 1 star for every full big row or column. And by big row or column, it means all 6 either across or all 6 up and down. And your piece cannot cover any of the dots. So you're going to have to kind of rotate them and mark them off. And then completing a big square will be the 4 squares together. As a big square will get you a heart. So you're trying to fill in however you want to get stars and to get hearts out of that one. Between two cities, you're going to write in 1 die at a time in a square. And kind of like Sudoku, you can't have the same number be adjacent. But whenever you finish a row or a column, you're going to get the bonus of either pumpkins and hearts or coins and whatever. And then score stars equal to the lowest of the other worlds. How are we ruling that one? You're going to get the number of stars that is the lowest of your other 2 worlds.
Okay.
Right, that's how we're reading it. So if I go hard on Tapestry and get 6 stars in Tapestry, but only 1 star in Scythe, then my Between Two Cities is also only 1 star. So basically, you want to get an equal amount of stars between Tapestry and Scythe, and that's how your Between Two Cities stars will come. And then down there on Scythe, You can either mark the top die or the bottom dice to get the bonus, or if when I roll, so let's say I rolled a 1 and a 4, then I could mark both dice in that one world, and I would get both bonuses at once. I would get both the coin and the star for that first column if I rolled a 1 and a 4. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the bottom, the pumpkin. So when you pay 2 pumpkins, if you happen to have 2 pumpkins and I roll a pair, regardless of where you put that pair at, if you have 2 pumpkins available, you can pay that for a bonus star. Hearts, you can just pay 2 stars to gain a star in any world, which again might be helpful for the between 2 world scoring or between 2 city scoring. And then lastly, the coins, you can pay 2 coins to get a bonus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wherever. And that's what we're looking at.
All right. 9 turns.
Let me roll big again. Okay. And you guys are going to be a little delayed since you're watching the stream. So round 1 here. Oh, and then I will also mark all the previous rolls over on this little notepad over here. So in round 1, I have a 3 and a 6.
Also, there's also on the bottom right corner your sheet grant everybody has where you can put the dice.
Oh, yeah, you can mark it yourself on your sheets. Correct.
Yep. 3 and a 6 is the first roll, huh?
3 and a 6. I know what I'm doing.
3. Yeah, I'm going to take that size bonus.
Yeah, same thing. I didn't have to say it, Tim. There was a 3 and a 6 out there.
So what happens? We cross off the...
So that's what we're doing. You mark off that entire column. You will mark that you gained a heart, and you'll mark that you gain a star under scythe. But again, feel free to put those anywhere you want. You could spend those down in tapestry area. That 6 in tapestry is a big chunk of stuff to mark off.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too.
Tapestry. So I've marked off 1 little square tapestry, so that gets me a heart. That was for my 6. Now my 3. There, between 2 cities.
All right, sounds good. Round 2.
Oh, did the Facebook just drop on me? Or is that on my side?
There is a spinning wheel there.
Can't go a week without that happening.
I thought you had the super duper high speed internet as well.
Yeah, well, when everybody in the world is on it at the same time, it's still kind of slow.
Oh boy, do I wish that were true, that everybody in the world were on this. You mean the other 3 people watching the show besides us that are on it?
No, I just mean the internet in general is being flogged right now. Not for you personally, Tim, no.
It does say live video interrupted. Oh no.
Oh, okay, so yeah, someone says video down.
Yeah. I'm still, obviously, it's not my internet. We're still talking just fine. Everything else still looks right on my end.
Yep,
So,
I think we're back up.
So I don't know. Let me try refreshing our Facebook here.
Heart.
Remove that.
I think we're back up.
Anybody in chat? Can you guys confirm that we're back here at all? Hopefully so.
Paul says it says live video interrupted. I'm showing us on there though. So Oh, look at you, Grant. You got the little thing on the screen that shows the die rolls too for the round. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we're back.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, no, this is a live camera shot. You can see me shaking the dice here, Tim.
Yep. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Paul.
Round 2, we have a 2 and a 1.
A 2 and a 1.
2 and 1.
All right. What are we doing with 2 and a 1?
gonna want that. I'm gonna try doing this. I'm not gonna tell you this
All
time.
right.
Okay, so 2 and 1.
I'm not going to tell you either.
On the side. Okay. And just as a reminder, we are placing both one die in each of 2 different sections. Right?
Yeah,
That is
as
correct.
soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I can't do what I just did. Let me
See?
think. So yeah, right there. You can't.
Right there.
I'm not
what
trying
you're
to
talking
cheat.
about.
I'm just
That-
dumb. Sorry, give me 1 second to change things here a little bit.
That's what erasers were made for.
Yeah, I'm writing in pen though. So
Oh, you're a brave man.
they're
Grant.
rolling right. You just go for it.
Oh, Carmen's here. Hi, Carmen. I see she's here too. Yeah, refresh the screen, Carmen, because it's up. It's alive, so you should be able to see us. All right. You got a roll, Grant?
All right, we're going to round 3.
Round 3. What do you
Nice
got?
little chuck all the dice here. A 3 and a 1. I'm glad I don't actually use these dice for D&D because this 1 is killing me.
Ooh. Ooh.
Not what I want to do.
Okay. That one. That one up.
3 and a 1. You guys all good there?
I'm good there. I see my friend Amanda Panda online. Hi, Amanda. Amanda is actually, she was also a Dice Tower West volunteer this year. She's one of my local gaming buddies.
Oh, there you go, Tim. Yeah, you asked
that's
earlier
what
who
she
that
said,
was.
but yeah,
Amanda's
Oh. that's good. Awesome, Amanda Panda.
awesome.
Cool. Double sixes.
Ooh.
Double sixes.
Ooh.
If anybody has 2 pumpkins right now, you can pay your 2 pumpkins. I definitely do not.
I have 2 pumpkins. I'm going to pay the 2 pumpkins.
Where did you get 2 pumpkins from?
See the star from Between Two Cities.
Ah. Oh, he's going hard between 2 cities.
Yeah. But now I have to figure out what I'm doing here. Let's see. Mark.
Whoa, that's a big piece of tapestry. Double sixes, you said?
Yeah, double six. And again, you can't spend them both in the same area.
No, I know.
Except for
but
Scythe.
six
If
is
you get
just
the right
huge.
combination. I think I'm going to go this.
So I'm going to do 6 here.
Yep, I'm going to do 1 6 there. That gets me one of these.
6 over here.
And one of these.
All right. I got a
That gives
that.
me a heart.
And
And that gets me 2 more of those.
I got a that.
I got to erase that heart.
Man, if you guys are getting this, I must be playing this game wrong. I don't know.
I'm getting all sorts of stuff, Tim.
Actually, I have to use my eraser. I thought I was getting a lot of stuff on tapestry, but that is not correct.
So also, while we're playing this, folks, and I'm sure he's not watching, but if he is, Jamie Stegmeyer, we need to put out a thank you to him for this game that he made available for everybody. And if you have played any of these games, you will see that they are of that game. And this is just really cool what he did.
Absolutely. I did look through how this one is called version 1. This was the very first one that he made. He continued. There's a reason he's up to 10. I think he has refined it, and version 10 might have been the better version to play. It was just a little bit more complicated, and I was just trying to keep this a little bit on the quicker, simpler side to start with. But yeah, I looked at some of the other ones, and there's a lot of really interesting things going on with some of those other ones. And just how replayable it is.
Right. Yeah, it's been really interesting to see, every iteration up to this point. 10 it's still basically the same thing, but he's refined a lot of the gameplay.
Yeah. Okay, going on to round 5.
Okay.
6 and a 3.
3.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah.
Go there.
6 there, and... Is there one of those pieces? Ooh, there's not. Ugh.
So,
We'll risk it. Which gives me another rose there. And another heart there. Yeah, I think this one with getting to pay the hearts at the end is going to be a ton of extra hearts. Maybe I'm wrong.
all right.
What was that? A 6 and a 3. Oh, I can't do that.
Are you cheating again, Grant?
No, I used my keypad to type in the 6-3, and that is attached to the OBS, so I was like switching scenes.
Oh.
Whoops. That's not the way to do that. All right, we're good. Let's move on to round 6.
Round 6.
Round 6. And we have a 4 and a 3.
A 4 and a 3. A 4 is kind of what I needed.
Yeah, I think I can do that 3 as well. Okay, 3's going here.
It's 2 more there.
4 here. Points.
I think I'm failing miserably.
I have a couple of rough spots here.
7. All right, 3 rounds to go.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I think I'm locked in. I think I'm doing a thing. 1 and a 3. This is what you guys get for letting me roll the dice. Nothing good.
Yeah. I sure could use a 2.
Oh, I did it again.
1 and 3. 1 is gonna be...
Ooh.
3.
1 here. Which gives me this.
I sure hope I'm playing this right. I don't know. Anybody else out there having problems except me?
We'll
I believe-
try to double check as best we can at the end here.
Boy.
I think I'm doing a thing still.
Roll a 2, Grant.
Yes, please roll 2.
Well, I mean, if you guys both want it.
Here come double 6s.
Okay, rolling for round 8. 2 rounds left.
Okay.
Double 5s.
Double 5s. Oh,
These are the dice.
yeah.
Not in control. I still don't have 2 pumpkins to pay. That's definitely still a thing.
I have 2 pumpkins. So
There you go.
I can gain a star.
So I can't put them both in one area, so I won't cheat. 1 there. And
I'll do
1 there.
5 here.
Which gets me out one of these.
Here. Gets me a star. Oh.
And I'm going to assume, so there's only 6 stars per world. I would have just gotten a 7th in one of the worlds. I'm going to assume you're capped at 6.
I would say that's correct.
Yep.
Well, then my strategy probably has not been a good one.
Oh, you have strategy?
I know.
Wow.
I know. No kidding. That's good.
Hey man, I don't care what we're doing. I'm going to take it seriously. Last round, last roll of these dice. Let's see if I can give you guys a 2. I'm shaking this on camera for you. 2 and a 5. There it is.
Hey.
2 and a 5.
Nice. That's
Hey.
what I needed.
Thank you, sir. There's my 2.
There's my 2. That gives me that, and it gives me 2 of those. And then the 5. Oh, I can put it there.
Oh, I can't do that. 2.
Coin.
2 goes there. 5 can go here.
Yeah, I don't know how well that worked out. Because now I can pay my 2 coins and put my 2 coins somewhere for another thing. I feel like I can just max out all of the stars, and that doesn't seem right.
Yeah. Okay. So you can pay. I'm gonna pay 2 coins to get an unmarked number anywhere.
Yep, that's what I just did. And I'm buying a 6 into the scythe to get a star there.
So
right?
Yep. There's my 6.
So what if we've been collecting coins? So say I've got 1, 2, 3. I got 5 coins, so I could spend like them
You can
twice.
spend 4 of them for
Yep, and
2
get-
different dice anywhere. Well, not 2. I think you have to mark off. So you could buy like a 5 and a 6, for example.
Okay.
I spent mine to buy a 6. Okay, so here's my thing. I have 4, 6, 7, 8. I have 10 hearts, which would let me buy 5 stars. I just went for... I did full-on tapestry, because every time you did the square in the tapestry, that was a heart.
Yeah.
So to me, that would seem like I could buy 5 extra stars somewhere, which would be too many stars.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems a little.
What was that last roll? A 5 and a 2?
5, 2. So I use my 2 points to gain a thing there.
And then, since between 2 cities is the score stars equal to the lowest of the other worlds, could you spend the hearts first, max out the other worlds, and then you would score the maximum there? That seems silly. I'm not trying to break this game. It just kind of happened.
It's a legit question. So I'm doing my 2 there.
We'll find out here. Without, I won't even tally it. I'll let you guys see my what I did here. So under Scythe, you guys will catch up to the stream eventually. I did the 3, 6 at one point. I bought one of the 5s, and then I used like a 6 and a 5, which ended up giving me 4 total stars there. Up here, I finished 2 columns, so I got 2 hearts and 2 coins out of the between 2 cities. I haven't marked the stars there. But then down here under tapestry, I used a lot of every time the big 6s came up, and that would have filled up a ton of, again, I went way over the 6 rows and columns here for tapestry.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I kind of ended up there. Again, this combination might just be a wonky combination. There was a reason why this was his early draft of this.
So I've got, let me see, 4. So we get the lower of the 2 worlds for between 2 cities, and then you just count up the other ones, right? So I've got 4.
Yeah,
I had 4. I had 4 stars in Scythe and 5 stars in Tapestry. So that means that would give me 4 stars in between 2 cities.
Did you spend any of your hearts for bonus stars? I didn't.
Oh, I spent pumpkins for bonus stars. But I totally forgot about the hearts. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the 2 hearts to gain a star in any world. Because every 4 square tapestry would have given you a bunch. Which again, this would just let you max out the star thing. The quota with the way between 2 cities work. I don't think the paying 2 hearts works too well with the between 2 cities scoring. It might have worked better with one of the different ones.
Right. Cool.
But yeah, again, I can definitely see how this is a nice. just a different take on a roll and write to be able to combine
Yeah.
all of his different games into a playable version. And I think he said there was like a randomizer online that would let you randomize which worlds you play. And World
Okay.
10 let you jump through that you play in multiple rounds, but every 3 rounds you're switching which 3 worlds you're using or something. So
Right.
pretty cool idea
Yeah,
there.
I like. I mean, it's got a little feel to the bigger games, right? Between Two Cities, that's exactly how the game is. You know, you're looking for the scores. So,
Very
and
nice.
Tapestry's got that little. Yeah, Tapestry was similar to that part of that game as well.
We didn't play the Wingspan one, but the Wingspan one looked really interesting in that you get the little resources as you're filling those columns in, but you only get the bonuses if you hit the number exactly. Like your 3 numbers would have
Right.
to add up to 7. Your 3 numbers would have to add up to 12. And I think that would definitely be a lot, the risk reward kind of thing. Like you're like, I want those, but you just might not
Yeah.
get them.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
Yeah, no,
cool.
that was fantastic. Great marketing tool as well.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Oh, well, that was a fun little setup. Now I got a cool little dice roller I can use. Uh-huh. Okay, so now what you were talking about, let's move into our top 5. And again, our top 5 this week is just going to be a top 3. We brought an extra person along, and our topic is a little kind of specific, so we're just keeping it at 3. But let me hit my little transition button, and we will head over to there. Okay, and we're back. Ruel is ginormous again on stream. Maybe fix that.
He's taking over for all of those who are may be joining us late. We have a special guest with us today. This is Ruel Gaviola from Southern California. He is an independent writer who writes a lot about board games, plays a lot about board games, and he is all up in the board game industry. Right, Ruel?
I am. Yes. Thank you, Tim. Thank you,
Bit
Grant.
everything. There we go.
Right.
Nope. Oh, you're gonna keep jumping around. Nope. I'm just gonna center you. We're gonna do our best.
Okay.
Yeah, like the way I'm setting this up on stream for anybody that doesn't know, like trying to add in Skype sources to like OBS, I can't really do it ahead of time until somebody gets here. It just doesn't let me do it the way I have it set up. So trying to do some of this technical stuff on the fly, not always the best at it. So
Hey,
Here we are.
you're awesome, Grant. Yeah, the streams you've been doing, you're amazing. Like now that I've been doing some live stuff on Facebook, like I know how hard it is. I just use little things here and there, but OBS, I still need to learn it.
Yeah, no, Grant's been doing a fantastic job. This is
Yes.
really good, and people have been really enjoying it. So it's wonderful. All right, let's do our top 3 games that need a sequel or another version.
yeah. So the way I kind of threw it to these guys was either a game that needed a sequel, maybe could use a re-theme. Like there's numerous different ways that something could be added to a game. So this is just like a follow-up to a game in whatever degree that we thought would be interesting. Is kind of what we're going with. Who wants to start?
I've got a game.
Okay.
All right. So my first game that I want to talk about that needs a sequel is The Godfather: Corleone's Empire. This was a game from Simon, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago. It's an Eric Lang game, and just like the original Godfather, the second one, in my opinion, was better. So I think we could use a sequel for this. I love this game actually. I think it's a great worker placement / area majority game. It's got the hallmarks of Eric Lang's games, where you're doing relatively simple actions, and then they build up, and by the 3rd round, you have this big bloodbath in the Hudson River. And my friends and I really enjoy this game, but I feel like there could be a sequel in the works, or there should be a sequel where they take, maybe, I don't know if they would use the same mechanisms or not, but again, the theme I think works well. You could go, the second Godfather looked at, the Corleones in Vegas, and take that there, because this first game is based in old school New York, just like the original movie. Have you guys played this one?
So I've seen this at Meepleville numerous times. When it first came out, it was pretty popular. We had a group that did play it a bunch, so I knew what you're talking about. It has is it a briefcase or a safe that you get to stash all your little money
Yes.
in?
Yeah,
Everybody
a little
loved
suitcase.
that. I never have actually gotten a playthrough of this in.
Yes,
Okay.
and I was very fortunate to actually have played it with Eric Lang at
Nice.
the Dice Tower convention probably about right after it came out, actually, he was there, and I got to play with him. So I, I, it's not. I'm a big Mafia fan. Mafia is one of my kind of passions and hobbies. That the history and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I was hoping for a lot more of that. So it didn't kind of give me what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
As far as like the real kind of Mafia, So.
Yeah. And I know that was like a big complaint with a lot of people was, I mean, this is a little generic with some of the graphics, maybe like, the guns and stuff. It could have been for any game. And I feel like they really could have tapped more into the Godfather lore and brought that over. And maybe there's like licensing issues with that or IP issues. So maybe that's part of it. But I feel like in the second Godfather, you could totally look into like the Corleone family and really dig deep into some of those characters and bring them aboard. 'Cause this was basically just Marlon Brando on the cover, and that was it. It could have been any other Mafia game. So, yeah, second edition, more like just with more Godfather Corleone lore would be great.
And like you said, like so many people still consider like Godfather Part 2 to be one of the best, if not the best movie of all time for numerous different reasons. And so, yeah, that's just prime to be like, yeah, we have a board game out. Let's make a better one. Exactly. And like following the same steps, just improve, reiterate, just make a better game there.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right, I'll move on. I'll go right down my list here. My number 3, I already forgot, Royals. I don't know how many of you guys have played Royals. This is a Dice Tower Essentials game. I really like Royals in that it's Ticket to Ride, set collecting, but it added in the assassination mechanic. Basically, you can take over other people's routes. It is all that it really adds to Ticket to Ride. And so the idea behind that is good. I appreciate that. And so I would like the idea of that Ticket to Ride set collecting type game with a little bit more leaning into that betrayal, backstabbing type mechanics, even some of like the diplomacy type aspects. Like this is just prime for a bigger game, a more meatier game. Like Royals is obviously targeted towards that lighter side. And so I still prefer this to, again, say Ticket to Ride, but there could be a better follow-up there. And I also just like the fantasy theme. That's so easy to make and design games around and all that. So I could definitely see a cool sequel coming from that style.
Yeah, I've heard of Royals. I've never played it, but yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I unfortunately haven't had a chance to play the other either.
Another one of those that flew under a lot of people's radars. Again, the Dice Tower guys obviously had it. It was nothing big, nothing major, and I think again that's why it might be prime for a sequel or a follow-up or just something more there. Cause it wasn't on too many people's radars.
Nice.
Very good. Well, my number 3 that I think deserves a sequel, and it's funny because there is one rumored to be coming out, is the Castles of Burgundy. Now there have been rumors that there is the Castles of Tuscany coming out. But the Castles of Burgundy is now 20 years old. I think they just had like an anniversary edition or something.
I threw up the graphic for the 20th anniversary. That's what's on screen right now. This is not the normal cover by any means.
Right. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, Castles of Burgundy is one of my favorite games, one of my most played games every single year. I would like to maybe have a New York skin, New York theme, just another skin, I think. I would like, and it just deserves it.
We talked about the importance of theme, like how many, we know good game mechanics exist, but you throw a good skin, a good theme on it, and it's just going to catch somebody's eye. It's going to make them just be more interested in giving it a shot. And so, you take that Castle of Burgundy, just super dry point salad, throw a nicer theme on there, you're going to get some more people playing it, and there's a little bit more interest in that.
Yeah,
I love the idea of a New York skin. That'd be great. All the different boroughs there and
exactly, yes.
Right?
Oh, you could just maybe have parks or office buildings or just different things just to add. So that's all. I think to me, I don't think it would be that hard, right?
Right. Yeah, and I'm 100% behind this idea, Tim, and I'll tell you why. Castles of Burgundy, like other Stefan Feld games, are killers for anyone with any kind of vision issues. I have red-green color blindness, and those games are brutal. And I don't know why they always pick like the most bland. Everything looks brown to me, and I'm like, But Castle Burgundy, I was, like any other game that I have vision issues with, I just, I use my Sharpie and I'll just mark up my pieces. And I know that might horrify some people, but you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to play these games. And I love,
of course, yeah.
Castle Burgundy is top 10 for me. I love that game.
Do you know if that issue got addressed in this 20 edition printing of it?
From what I've seen and from what I've heard, it's brighter and nicer looking apparently, but it still has some issues for if you had red green color blindness or blue purple or whatever. So yeah, it's a shame because all it would take, again, just any publishers or designers looking out there or listening today or watching this, all it takes is one little icon for every specific color, and it makes it 100 times easier for anyone with a vision issue. Perfect example, Ticket to Ride. You look at the yellow line, yellow cars or the routes on the map. Yellow has a little circle, I think, or maybe like a square or something. And that's just, it's so easy to implement. I feel like every designer and publisher needs to address that.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
And really quick, Steve over
I'll get off my soapbox now.
Steve in chat mentioned Trajan as being just such a horrible looking game. I think this goes along with like that Castle of the Burgundy, like a good reskin. Not necessarily a completely different game. He obviously likes the game, but just wants some updated graphics to go along with that. Some of those old games are very dated with some really good mechanics behind them.
Yeah, and like a recent one by Feld, which was a great game, but again, everything looked brown to me. It was Carpe Diem. It's a classic.
I saw the box and it was like, just like a generic nothing. It was like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's almost like, is this like clip art? Come on, guys. I mean, no disrespect intended, but it's just my family we played for the first time. My wife and I and our daughter played Notre Dame, and they really enjoyed it. But the first thing they said after we played the game, they really enjoyed it. They said, "Oh, it's just I wish we had better art." I'm like, "Hey, it's just not me." Great.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Ruel, back to you. What's your number 2?
Oh. Number 2, Flamme Rouge. This is a bicycle racing game from Stronghold Games, which, again, I love the theme. I love the way it plays. It's smooth sailing. You play a card. It's hand management. Play a card, move your bike. Play another card, move your bike until someone wins. And I feel like a new edition of this or a sequel to this would be like something like a triathlon. You have your bicycling game in Flamme Rouge. Hey, make us another one for running and make another one for swimming and package it all together as a trilogy, and you have the Flamme Rouge Triathlon.
There you go.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Yeah.
Because I was dead serious. Like, this was on when I was going through this list of trying to find games, I was just kind of going through BGG and be like, oh, that's a fun one. Flamme Rouge, absolutely own it. I love racing games just in general. This is one that I super enjoy playing, and so it was on my short list. It didn't quite make my top 3 here because I do just like the base game so much as is. So I was curious as to what issues you wanted to address, and that's a great way to follow through with that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do a sequel. What would you have said, Grant?
Again, nothing specific. I know it's a little, once you've played it a bunch, it is a little on the simpler side. So again, I'm generally just looking for that slightly meatier take on a lot of these games. Because there's nothing wrong with it. I know some of the expansions add in like weather and cobblestone, and so it adds in some other little mechanic type thing there. And I just think they could do more with it. I didn't have anything specific in mind, which is why I didn't actually put it on my list. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, your ideas, that would absolutely address what I was thinking of with that. Like, just something more, and to add that version into it of like, oh, there you go. That's great. Yep. That'd be a great way to go about it.
I'm all in for Flamme Rouge Triathlon.
All right, my number 2 here, Cutthroat Caverns. Have either of you guys played Cutthroat Caverns?
Another one that I've heard of, and I heard good things about it, but I have not played it.
Yeah, this was another one when I was first getting into board gaming a while ago. This is a fairly older game. This is kind of like Dead of Winter, Tim, in that everybody has to work together. You're like a group of adventurers trying to leave a dungeon, and you need to kill these monsters that have a big bag of hit points, and you're just playing cards from your hand, so it's like a card type game to whittle these monsters down, but only the person that gets like the killing blow gets like the prestige points and the money behind that monster. And so if you're losing, there's cards that like backstab other people. It's you're like, well, I'm not going to win. None of you guys are going to win. And that's the whole point of this game. Is
a couple times you seem to like backstabbing.
Oh, I love backstabbing when it's done well. And so the problem ended up being with this, it's just really clunky. Some of the card mechanics just aren't great. So I love the idea behind this, that backstabbing, like we got to work together up until we don't, and screw you guys. And for when that turn happens. And so, yeah, I think there's a really great thing here. What did Steve say? There's an expansion. Oh, talking about back your triathlon thing is a really good thing. Yeah, there might be an expansion for a Cutthroat already, but yeah, just a great idea that I think could be implemented in a slightly better way, similar to like the Dead of Winter type trader mechanics. I just want to see a follow-up to that, but keeping it on the card-based side without getting too deeper into the board game. Kind of what I'd like to see there.
Yeah, I'd have to play Cutthroat Tower because I've heard about it and haven't gotten to the table.
Again,
though, so
it's not great. It's not.
All right, now my number 2 is now it's funny because all 3 games that I have on my list are all 3 games I absolutely love. Grant, you had just had one. You said that you didn't think it's a great game, why it could be improved. So my number 2 is Underwater Cities. Now, Ruel, before you had mentioned Agricola, to me, Underwater Cities is Agricola. However, instead of having to go to a spot to play an occupation or a minor improvement, the card play in Underwater Cities to me is as if you get to play a minor improvement or an occupation. Okay. So have you played Underwater Cities?
I have not yet.
Oh, and I just absolutely love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. All I'm looking for, again, like Councils of Burgundy, is another skin. I would love like a space, instead of like building tunnels to get underwater, to different cities and stuff. It'd be nice to maybe go to different planets or things like that, or just another theme for Underwater Cities. So to me, again, it's just a game I really, really love. I'd love to see just another skin on it. And as Grant keeps mentioning, just a different way to bring more people into that game that may touch them instead of doing something underwater, right?
Right. Yeah. I think the space theme obviously would appeal to me. I'm a big sci-fi guy, so yeah, I've heard great things about Underwater Cities, and if you put that thing in space, yeah, I'm playing that sucker like now.
Yeah, it's a long game. It's a long game, but it's one of my favorites. I really, really, but it doesn't feel long.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of games that you're playing for 2.5, 3 hours, but it doesn't really feel like it. You're always engaged. It's good.
I love games like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Steve kind of going. He's like, "Really, you put this on here?" Because it is a fairly newer game. But yeah, I don't think this is because you think this is a bad, nothing to necessarily improve upon. More just the theming type issue.
Yep.
Oh, correct. Like I said, all the games on my list I love. I just want to see something different.
And that's kind of funny. Like when you think about it, obviously there's every theme has been done to some degree. But it's like, well, I want this mechanic in that theme, like getting the right crossover between the type of game you want and the theme to go along with it.
Yes.
There's only a certain subsection that falls into everybody's given taste.
Of course, right. Yeah.
All right, Ruel, what are we at with your number 1?
Number 1, I don't know if you can see it up here. My number 1 is Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. This was released last year. It was the legacy game of Clank, and they added in the Acquisitions Incorporated characters, and this was one of my favorite gaming experiences of 2019. It was so much fun playing a legacy game with my group. We all loved it so much, and I just want to see a new version of it, whether it's going back into Clank. But personally, I would love to see, they already have Clank in Space, why not do Clank in Space Legacy? It's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. I love that game.
You've heard me tout legacy games on this stream before. Same thing. Me and my roommates blew through Clank Legacy. We got to this table. I was surprised at the amount of infighting that we had. Like, we were so cutthroat. We're like, MVP? It's going to be me. Oh, yeah. No? Well, we're going to fail then. And they're like, no, that's bad. That's bad for the whole company. We're like, too bad. I'm going to rush out of here now. So like that dynamic on top of the story that you were getting out of that, yeah, it was super fun. We played it very competitively.
Nice.
Which probably wasn't necessarily the goal of that one.
Right. I feel like we did a little bit of both. We started competitive, and then we sort of like eased off. We're like, you know what? We want to do cooperative so we could see as much stuff as possible. And it was such a fun experience.
And it's funny. Oh yeah, Steve said be careful because of spoilers. So
yes.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned anything currently. That's all game 1 type stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, but also speaking about Clank, I just want to mention, because I haven't played the Legacy Clank, but I have played the base game Clank, and I think for a deck builder, I think they hit such a, whether it's a a gateway spot, palatable spot, theme spot, whatever, but it just really grabbed a lot more people into the deck building genre that may not have just gone to, like, say, Dominion or any other deck builders. But this really touched a lot of people, and I think it was really good for the deck building genre of games.
Absolutely. I totally agree that it's one of those games where I brought it to game nights, and with either new gamers or just people who really aren't in deck building, they got drawn in by, that big board. It's like, oh, we're going to go dive into there, and then we're going to push our luck and try to get out of there as fast as we can. It's just, it brings in those mechanisms as well that really blended well with deck building. And yeah, it's a fantastic game.
100%. Yep. Same thing you guys said.
Yep.
Yeah, because a lot of deck builders also are kind of only cards, right? This used the board, so I think that helped too.
Yeah, big time. And I mean, as much as I love the deck building mechanism, I'm not really the biggest fan of just pure deck builders. I do like having a board. So I like Clank, I like Trains from AEG, and I love a game called Tyrants in the Underdark, which is the D&D version of a deck builder, and it has area control.
I wanted to play that one, and I never got around to it. I know another one people complain about the colors of, that it was just really horrible. It was purple. Like, that's the point, but
yeah. You got to play it, Grant. It's so good. It's such an underrated game, and I don't know why it doesn't get much more love, but it's it's deck building and area control. It's great.
Yeah. This one I don't think we actually even have it at Meepleville. With as many games as we have there's still plenty that there's just far more than we could ever have all of type thing. So I think we had one for sale at one point. I remember it was on my radar, and I never got around to it.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
All right, my number one here, Marrakesh. Very simple game.
I know you love this game, Greg.
I do love this game, because every single time I show this to somebody at the cafe, they just love it. It's just a fun game to play, and here's where I think the sequel should come from. The tactile carpet that's in there, not enough games really appeal to that tactile sense of what you're doing, like how he just mentioned that he really likes having a board there more than just cards. Just your gaming components. I think Marrakesh kills it with the carpet pieces that are in there. And I would love to see them do even a series of games that keep that tactile theme, and just make some other simpler family games that follow along in that same line of Marrakesh is literally just a dice roller. You pick a direction, roll the dice. That's the entire game. So there's not a ton of, heavy strategy there. It's a very simple game, but they could completely do more with that simple family idea, but bringing the textile, not necessarily carpets. I'm sure there's all sorts of other things that they could do there with that, and we'd just love to see more of it.
That's right. And don't forget, Grant, we still have that jumbo version or giant version kind of on hold there. So whenever we got to get that in.
Are they like real big carpets?
They didn't have. So we were at Gamma, and they didn't have a demo of it. But we were at their booth, and they had it on their order list, Giant Marrakesh. And again, this is a game, Ruel, that I nightly could bring out at Meepleville, depending on who was in there. Anytime somebody's like, I need something simple and quick, bam, this is on the table. I can't wait to throw out the giant version for people that would be like, oh, big old carpet piece. That's gonna be so amazing.
Oh, I would love to play.
Yes. And my number one is, again, a game I love. One of my favorite games, another one I play a lot each year, and that's Innovation. Now, you're probably saying, well, there was an Innovation Deluxe. There's probably, 4 expansions to Innovation? So what more do you want from Innovation? What I want is not an expansion. I just want cards that you could switch out and put in. Now, I talked to Chris, the owner of Asmadi Games, about this, and he said, yeah, that would be a good idea, because he talks to Carl Chuddick, the designer, quite often. And that's all I would like is, say, a supplement of 50 cards that you could just add in if you want to the base game, because I do not like the expansions. If I consider Innovation a 9 out of 10, the expansions make it a 9.1 out of 10 or something. They don't do enough to me to ever want to play with them. So I just love the base so much. I would just like supplemental cards to go in the base that you can either stick in or take out.
So yeah, kind of like Steve says. So how is that different than an expansion? What does the expansion do that the cards aren't doing or do better?
The expansion adds all new a whole nother mechanic and a different card play. So I'm not looking for another mechanic. I'm not looking for a different play. I'm looking for the exact same play,
Gotcha.
just different cards. That's all.
Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, maybe where the current sequel isn't what you wanted. You want just more of the same, which is never a bad thing if it's a game that you already really enjoy. I think I think I had a couple other some card games that were on my list that there were just card games that I enjoyed. That was like I would like more of this in some degree, but I didn't know how they would happen. Like Guillotine, Parade were some of the other ones I looked at when I was doing this. That they're fun card games, and I don't know what else they could add to make those games better.
Here, so Steve, I'll give you a perfect example because it's not an expansion. For people who play Agricola, how many different decks do they have for Agricola? They just have the whatever deck. You just take those minor improvements and occupations and stick them in to the base game and add them to play with it. It's not necessarily an expansion. It's just they're just more cards, and that's all I want is just more different cards for the base.
I mean, I'm sure, like, marketing-wise, if they were to do something like that, they probably would bill it as an expansion. They wouldn't bill it as Innovation 2 or anything. I don't think they would go that route. They probably would call it an expansion, but I understand what you're asking for. Again,
yeah, because the Agricola, see if I got them over there. I don't think they call them expansion. They just call it like the...
Oh, I remember those. Yeah, the little family packs,
something.
The 5 colored...
Oh, yeah. Right.
No. They have like
Not
a whole
those?
deck. Like they'll have the whatever is there. I wish somebody was on here who could tell me.
Occupation deck or something like that, or
yeah, but they have a different name for it or something. Yeah, whatever. So and it'll have like say 20 minor improvements and 25 occupations, and and they have different color on the back so you can stick them in and take them out or whatever.
So yeah, you're just looking for more replayability without new mechanics.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Makes sense.
yeah, that'd be great.
Have you played Innovation yet, Ruel?
I have, yeah, and that's the one where it's like a Civ Builder, right? Card game, Carl
Yes.
Chedek, is that the one I'm thinking? Yeah, I recently played it for the first, second, and third time earlier this year before the pandemic, and yeah, I was a big fan right off the bat. I was able to play the nuclear bomb card or whatever, and that was...
yes.
I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Oh, that resets the game. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
my
all right.
opponent at the time, we were just like both our jaws dropped like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very text heavy. It's not for everybody. It's extremely random. And it's funny because I am a Euro player, and to like randomness just is kind of incongruous with a Euro player, right? They don't like random, but I love it.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's just that whole, trying to make those combos work and make the cards work right, and it's a nice feeling when you get everything lined up and you can do your little actions or whatever they are in the game.
but not only that, I just like the catching up or the mitigation. When you just get in such a hole and you're just stymied, like your opponents just have you blocked and cornered, and you're just like, how do I get out of this? It's just fantastic.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how big this list is currently, Tim, but this is one I'm going to throw on the list of games I need to play again with you. Because this was one I remember it didn't click super well with me, but it was a while ago. I don't remember who I played with. I couldn't even tell you what a complaint or what I didn't enjoy about it, but I just remember it didn't do anything for me at the time. And I think this is one I need to revisit. I think there's numerous games that I should probably go back and give a different playthrough or another try to. And so yeah.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, so let me ask you something. I guess I'll pose this to Ruel first because Grant just mentioned a story about me. But Ruel, has there ever been a game that maybe you didn't like Grant said you may have played, but if somebody taught you and maybe they were just so passionate about it and they loved it so much that when you were showed it again, they may have converted you?
It's funny because Innovation is one of them. The first time I played Innovation, I was, I'm like, I'm not really sure about this game. And then it was the second and third times where like, okay, now I sort of get it and I really enjoy it. The other one that comes to mind, gosh, that is a great question.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think off the top of your head just because I'm sure all of us play so many games to remember those specific when it happened kind of thing.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
I'm just speaking specifically. If there was a game like you're like, you know what, I just don't like the game. I played it once, don't like it. But then somebody said, hey, come on, I love this game. Maybe they didn't teach you right, or maybe this or that, and they maybe taught you a right way, or they're passionate or something. You're like, wow, you know what? I did like this game.
Concordia would be one for me. That was one that got taught wrong initially, and then I've gone back and replayed it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a good game.
that is hilarious. I swear that just came to my mind too. Concordia. That's so weird. Like first time I struggled with it for whatever reason, it just wasn't clicking. But then the second time I played it, someone who had played it before taught it, and I was like, okay, yes, now everything makes sense.
Yeah. Mine specifically, there was a missed rule that wasn't told until like 75% of the way through the game. I'm like, well, I would have played this entire game differently if I'd known that. So yeah, just had a bad taste in my mouth. But yeah, it's definitely a good game when I went back and finally played it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one for me is Hanabi. Like the first 2-3 times I played it, I remember it was Wayne. I think I played it with him. He taught me. He loved it. I just like, I don't like this. And then I played it again and again and again. And now after 300-400 times, I love it.
Was it something specific to?
We love the same type of games. Like he tried to teach me Through the Ages, and he's like, "But Tim, this is enough Euro. I think you would love it because he loves that game." And it didn't do it for me. So I'm gonna give it another try. Maybe I will like it. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, that is what I had planned for today's show, gentlemen.
Awesome.
Yes,
Ruel.
Ruel, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you here. And so listen, what are you hoping to get back to once things get normal back there in California?
Game nights. So I helped run a couple of game nights here in town, and obviously, start of March we shut everything down, and I'm looking forward to it. But I'm also, I'm talking to the other hosts and stuff, and we're trying to figure out what do we do in the future? How do we go forward from here? How do we make it safe for everyone? And when do we go back? And so there's a lot of things we got to discuss. But I am looking forward to playing more games. I'm very fortunate. I have my family. We love to play games, so I'm very fortunate in that aspect. But I'm looking forward to connecting with my friends in real life again. So, but yeah, that's probably the main thing I'm looking forward to.
Nice.
And currently, so I know you're talking about you're doing your nightly game show. Where can people come check you out at? Can we do a shout out for your stream, your Facebook, all that?
Yes, thank you. So my Facebook, finding me at Ruel Gaviola. I also have a website, ruelgaviola.com. That's RuelGaviola. You can probably see it in the stream here. And I'm on Twitter, Instagram, all the socials and stuff. It's pretty easy to find me online. So find me, connect with me. I'd love to chat with anyone and talk about games.
And what are you hoping to get to as far as the convention this year, Ruel? Like, if something opens up, are you hoping to get to a convention this year?
I was hoping. So this year was going to be the year I get out to Gen Con, but that's not going to happen. I'm sort of like, I don't know. I'm in this space where like I want to go and I'm going to support the best I can, but I'm going to do it virtually this year. Whatever conventions are there. I know Renegade just announced one. There's going to be Origins Online as well. I think Portal Games is going to have their own con. So I'm going to support virtually for now until the end of the year, and then after the year I'm going to reassess because things are different right now, and hopefully they'll get better soon.
Yeah.
Yes, but you fully plan on being with us at Dice Tower West, I hope.
Absolutely. That's definitely for sure. Again, I've got the shirt on. My wife and I are going to be there, and yeah, that's the one we look forward to. I just want to, I want to shout out to you, Tim, and Grant, and everyone at Meepleville. I think you guys do such an amazing job of building a community, at the store and online. I think it's something that is a lot of people need and want, obviously, but it's something I appreciate, and I know everyone else does too. So thank you guys for doing what you do. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you, Ruel. And yeah, and it is a fantastic job. Grant has helped me so much, the business. It's been fantastic. Been able to take it to a whole new level, and we're going to get back there. Yep. We are going to get back to doing our thing, and we do have a great community, and it's also great for people like you who aren't necessarily local, but who become part of the Meepleville community, even though you're in a different state.
Yeah, and it's great. Yeah, I appreciate the chance to connect with everyone out there. So thank you guys again.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
I have two quick things before we go here. Next week, Tim, I did talk to Trung. We're gonna try to get Trung here on the show, so that is our special guest for next week. We'll see how well that works out. And lastly, I really want to point out how you guys are just crushing me in these quarantine beard things. Like, I'm doing this. It's not even close. I'm just getting smoked right here.
I got this role, so yeah, I know. But
can't win at anything.
Yeah. But it's funny. It's so funny, Grant, how you can't grow a beard because you grow hair fast. Like your mustache and your hair on your head, like you grow like that in like a day. but you can't grow a beard.
No beard. Yeah, this patch of stuff with junk on my chin is it. I'm gonna get my big handlebars going again. Quarantine, I don't have to deal with anybody, so screw it. I'm just gonna let this grow out. But
This seems like a Snapchat filter or something.
yeah, you don't actually have anything.
Yeah.
I was like, you cheater.
All right. Well, thanks again, Ruel. It was a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate you watching us every Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday again as well. And please stay safe out there and keep up with us on Facebook, Google, Instagram, any of our channels, and we'll let you know about how Meepleville is moving forward, how we're opening. But anyway, we thank you, and we appreciate having you part of us. So we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.